And we're off. So I suppose we should start with a discussion of what our goals are and which ones they might be looking for first.
It's definitely interesting, this board. It doesn't look like there's any very simple goals that are going to be able to claim easily. There's no standard blue fire, bot fair, or anything that you can get pretty quickly.
If they found bottom of the well, Lens of Deuce is one of the easy goals.
Yeah. Yeah, most of these are fairly difficult. Getting 4 songs, they'll probably want Zelda's Lullaby. In fact, finding Zelda's Lullaby soon is a pretty big deal for this card. Between the fairy spells, 4 songs, the spooky mask.
It depends on which loading zones they find, if they are easy or difficult goals. For example, if they find the spooky mask, the mask shop, then spooky mask is an easy goal if they have CL. If they don't find both, it's stupid.
Yeah.
Look like both teams have just found the Sky Temple, the extra zone that MZX added, which contains 3 Iron Knuckles. There is 4 Iron Knuckles on the board, which means that they'll need to try and find some hearts in order to live through the first hit. But that's 3 Knuckles right there. If both teams are going to try and get that as soon as possible.
Yeah, the Sky Temple is a neat little joke where you don't get to move unless you can survive the first hit.
It should be said the first hit takes 4 hearts of damage.
9 hearts is on the board, so we want to be collecting hearts in any case.
Yeah. I don't see a lot of these goals that are all that clumped together either.
Usually with Blackout cards, they try to do it so it's not all together. There's usually they try to avoid the idea that all of the goals will be linked, so that you can't do 3 in like 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, but often there are a couple. In this one, there's almost none that have anything to do with each other.
They have the Giant's Wallet and the Sculptura goals, for example. They have the Fire Temple boss key and the Fire Trial.
It's interesting to note that of the skull goals on here, a lot of them, or 3 of them, are like overworld skulls, which are the Wasteland Colossus, Domain, Zora's Domain, and Death Mountain area. That's really interesting because you need to balance how early you go adult in this case, because if you go adult too early, you'll miss all the child skulls and then lock yourself out of that goal unless you want to try and find Phantom Ganon to go back in time.
Yeah, going back in time is absolutely no guaranteed possibility in this game.
Generally, especially with 3 hours, most people won't consider back in time unless they really need to.
I guess so.
Oh, we've got some bottles coming up here, so very useful.
Looks like Sloth found water as well.
Oh, and
Sloth is in trials, which is
but he hasn't a sword yet. He has.
Trials is actually very important in Beta Quest. Generally, what you want to do in Trials is grab the bomb chews in there as soon as possible.
Yeah, the spirit trial chews are easy way to get explosive fairly early on. And Trials has so many different loading zones to it that you're pretty likely to find it. Oh, here we see DC. There's another good source of bombs. and a Deku Shield, which is surprisingly useful.
Naru is going to take it.
Finding a shield early is actually quite important. There's so many uses for a shield, and you just want to have one as soon as you can.
Yeah. There's a lot of tricks that require you to be able to crouch stab or shield something, and obviously you need a shield for that.
Sloth, by the way, found one of the bosses.
Oh! Hello, Bongo. Bongo's probably the boss you can do earliest if you're good at it. All you need is a sword. That being said, defeating it with only a sword and 3 hearts is difficult.
Sloth is definitely trying it. Maybe he goes for the 9 hearts in this attempt. Oh, he died.
Nope.
The other option is not only is Bongo a heart, but light arrows is on the board, which you need to defeat Twin Rover and Bongo in order to get the cutscene to receive light arrows from Zelda.
Oh, and Ostrea has found the Sun Song, which is extremely useful for finding new loading zones.
So anyone who hasn't watched Beta Quest before, Sunsong essentially allows you to load different load zones than the region you're in. So what happens is, in Beta Quest, when you die, depending on what entrance you came through, it's like taking the same entrance to get there to start with. So for example, if you get the load zone coming out of the windmill in Kakariko and die, that is the same as checking exiting the windmill. Sunsong allows you to do that in zones which the time doesn't change. If you play Sunsong, it will also be able to check that load zone.
Sansong is also interesting in boss rooms, for example. You need to make a specific trick that called Ocarina items, where you use a bottle to use in boss rooms an Ocarina even if you don't have one, and then you can play Sansong in boss rooms, which loads the zone if you would be just joining the boss room.
I see Austria has found the Skulltula house, which is good for getting that giant's wallet.
Yeah, absolutely. That's pretty good to find, because you can RBA to get the adult's wallet, and then with the 10 skulls, you can then get the giant's wallet pretty quickly.
I guess that's the way they go, because collecting all the sculptulas to get the giant's wallet the normal way is not pretty useful in Beta Quest.
Yeah, it takes a while to get 30 of them.
Oh.
Sloth getting a real Ocarina. That's nice, because if you have a real Ocarina in Sunsong, it's much easier to play Sunsong in, say, shops and other indoor areas.
But still, you can't use the Ocarina in boss rooms, so you still need to make the trick.
Yes.
We see Boneri trying to get the Jews in Trials, not seeming to have much luck at the moment, although it is pretty hard if you don't have nuts to stun the BMOS.
Though he is stunning it with a jump slash, which is takes a little precision, but it's definitely nice to have it stunned rather than having to move it twice and then run away from the beam.
Oh, which is maybe for the people that don't play Beta Quest worthy to note. If you die in Collapse, you get, even as child, the Master Sword. So you can use the Master Sword as child and you have a sword. That's worthy in Beta Quest because you end up pretty early in Collapse, and to find another sword you need to get to Kokiri Forest, and the Master Sword does more damage than the Kokiri Sword.
Yeah. Usually the only reason to pick up the Kokiri sword in Beta Quest is because either you haven't found Collapse yet, or you have 3 swords on the board somewhere.
Looks like Lamb's doing spirit trials as well, trying to get those chews.
Oh, and there's Zora's Domain, which is a useful loading zone.
Usually, you probably do want to grab the scale, whether you grab it early or not. If you've got no easy goals, it can be worth to pick it up early to check some of the water loading zones that are a pain otherwise to enter.
Yeah. Though, if you're lucky enough to find the fishing game before finding the Zora's Domain, then you can pretty easily get the gold scale. And in fact, it's often faster.
Looks like he left the scale for now. You can absolutely enter most of the loading zones even without it. But I think he just wanted the Deku Nuts and Deku Stick from the pots there.
Lamb having little trouble with Spirit Trial Choose as well. Having to go into the little secret fairy fountain that I only found out about yesterday. Oh, and there's Jabu Jabu's belly over on Benoru's screen. And since he picked up those shoes, he will be able to head on in and get himself a boomerang.
The map and compass square is also pretty important right now. It'll be the first square on the board, looks like, unless something crazy happens.
The most of the players that are still in the tournament don't use the boomerang so often. If they can pick up them on the way, they will do it. But they don't use them so often because they can just hover with bombs, mostly.
There's definitely a few skills in the game that are much easier with boomerang than doing some crazy chew or bomb hovers. One in Zora's Domain area, in the Zora's Fountain at night. That's much easier with a boomerang than trying to do some crazy hovers.
It can also be a lot faster and a lot less expensive on your explosives.
Before you get bombs, when you have chews, you get 20 chews from the Spirit Trial, and it's important to manage those for the most part. You can definitely get more by doing some RBA, but generally you want to keep those 20 chews relatively tight. You don't want to waste them.
Yeah, there's the bottom of the well chews if anyone finds them, and those can give you a few more.
Yeah, for the normal OOT runners, the bottom of the well choose is the go-to chew, because bottom of the well is pretty easy to get to in normal Ocarina of Time, but not in Better Quest. There is trials way easier to find.
Not only that, even if you can find bottom of the well, it can often be difficult to do the usual methods to get the bottom of the well chews, because you'll have Master Sword, so it's really difficult to do the Vine Clip, and a couple of the other methods are just a bit easier on normal Ocarina of Time.
Even if you use Ocarina Dive, you need items, specific ones, and that makes it not easier.
Okay, we have Sloth finding the song, the Sun Song. So now both teams will have access to that. And Lamb's still working on those Spirit Trial chews.
Now that Sloth has found Sun Song, it's actually quite important, considering that there's only 4 songs required for the goal. If it would have been more songs, usually it wouldn't really matter that much if you didn't find Sun Song that early. But with only 4 songs on the board, that's going to go pretty quickly when if they find ZL or Go Adult quickly.
Yep. We just saw a nice clip into the Kakariko Bazaar, I believe it's called, by Austria.
The building on the top side left?
Yes.
That's the bazaar. Yeah, right.
Because ordinarily you cannot enter that as a child.
There's a lot of child loading zones that you're not supposed to enter, but with some creative tricks, you can actually enter them as a child.
For example, dying. If you get a leaving loading zone, you can check up a loading zone that's normally not you will not be able as a child to get them.
Looks like Lamb's got to choose finally, so we'll have to see if he can find anything to put them to good use.
Funny mentioning from number play, he mentioned 64 viewers, but the only one speaking in chat is him.
Shout out to number play.
And here we see Austria performing the typical ritual of Beta Quest, which is standing in a place and hoping the enemies kill you quickly.
Yeah, dying is actually quite important in Beta Quest because it allows you to check the load zones that you've just entered in. But it's also really painful to have to try and die in some places. There are some load zones which are just really far away from enemies and such.
Okay. And here we see the Deku tree. So I imagine he'll be going for that compass. And the or not. I guess deciding it's too much trouble to get up there for
No.
I
now.
expect with Bonor getting the one in Jabu, which they've just claimed as well, he'll probably let him handle the compasses, and Austria will handle the other kind of girls.
Well, one thing to mention is here they're playing in 2 and 2s, so that they speak with each other who takes which goals. So, like, for example, if Bonoru takes compasses, it's most likely that Austria will leave every compass he can find. So they don't waste time both collecting compasses in dungeons.
Yeah, there's a lot of synchronicity that goes into playing doubles on a high level like this.
Sloth found Ganondorf. I'm not sure why he's watching the cutscene. Maybe he didn't save and found something good or something. But
He
finding
didn't
Ganondorf
save.
is a huge pain.
He didn't save it a long time, so he needed to watch it so he could not just reset. There was one interesting thing at BlancaLamb's stream. He decided to not follow Zelda because that was the end of Collapse, and if he would have followed, he would have found Ganon, and Ganon is pretty useless in Beta Quest. You just
it's also an incredibly long cutscene.
Yes, you only see a long cutscene and you get nothing out of it because you get ported back on Collapse.
And good luck there. He just found the hook shot, which is a nice item to have. It also changes what loading zone you get from getting caught by the Gerudo guard.
It's interesting that he found Jabu, but because he left, rather than doing Jabu because he didn't need to, he's now found Hookshot instead. So while they did miss out on getting the map and compass in Jabu by 5 minutes or so, he's actually now kind of in a better position because he's found Hookshot, which the other two may not check for a while.
Plus, Sloth just found the Master Sword warp for them, which is very nice, not having to do a Door of Time skip. And he just found Phantom Ganon, which is also a nice bit of safety in case you might need to go back in time, but unlikely to be seen with this level of runner.
Yeah, to answer a question out of the chat, Numberplay did answer, but yeah, Ice Golden. It means one single player needs to collect the whole goal. So if you roll it, one collects 4, the other one collects 3 compasses. That is not working. One needs to collect all 7 of it.
Looks like Sloth has started to kill some Knuckles. Going to try and grab that, defeat 4 different Iron Knuckles.
They found already 5 Knuckles, so yeah, I guess.
If Sloth can get back to the Sky Temple
He would die.
and a few more hearts, and get at least 2 more hearts, then he'd be able to finish that.
Yeah, but to continue what Splef said earlier, because it's not likely that the left team, Waibu, will get into Jabu Jabu again. They will maybe have a hard time to find Hookshot. The only ways they will find Hookshot is either way they go into Jabu again and leave it, or they use, if they get to leave Jabu Jabu loading zone, they use Sunsong. That's the only 2 ways they can grab Hookshot. So if they don't try it because they already have the goal in Jabu Jabu, it's maybe costing them more than just getting this 1 goal.
Let's see, what on here would benefit from having the hookshot? Morph is easier with a hookshot, but it's not exactly necessary.
Everything
The skulls,
is easier.
clearly.
Yeah, the skulls
much
make,
easier
I
with it.
suppose.
Defeat Darkling, definitely on there. That requires a hookshot. Technically it doesn't, but like no one really knows how to do it without wise. I know ZFG and that the big time runners of OOT probably know how to get hookshot, or defeat Darklink without hookshot. But for the most part, you just generally want to have it anyway because it's a huge pain in the ass to do it otherwise.
By the way, Ost is doing the Sky Temple. To mention, he only has 3 hearts, but he had a fairy. So he did die after the attack, but the fairy gets him back to life. And the Sky Temple has 1 habit. You can't move until you get hit it once. After that, you can move freely. So, yeah. I don't know if he picked up a knuckle before, but yeah, he's at 3 now.
It is worth noting that while you do, if you do have a fairy, you can survive the first hit. There are occasions where when you get back up, the damage will tick again and you just die a second time.
That sucks.
Yeah, it's not fun. The other thing about Sky Temple is when you defeat the 3 Knuckles, 3 chests spawn. One of them has a Deku Shield, one of them has a Hylian Shield, and the other one has Bomb Shoes.
Wait, why didn't
Looks like
you
he
say
got
that
the
to
Deku
me?
Shield.
I let 1 left yesterday.
You only get to pick 1. It's kind of like a mini reward for doing it. And the other effect is the Sky Temple actually hides a load zone. So when you defeat Sky Temple, the way to get into Sky Temple becomes a different load zone that you can check.
Oh. I'll have to keep that in mind, because I was not aware of that.
Because you never finished Sky Temple, I guess.
I have finished Sky Temple.
Here we have Bonoru's going for the 30 Deku Sticks. So what he did was he hovered up to the top of the entrance and then hovered over across back into the unloaded zone. Then when he entered the loading zone, it reloaded the zone. So what that's caused is 2 Deku Scrubs. When you talk to the first one, he'll give you the 20 Deku Strip upgrade. When you talk to the second one, he'll give you the 30 Stick upgrade. Looks like he missed the loading zone trigger though, because he just reset.
Yeah, he did. Worth to mention is Ost is at the moment in Ganon's tower. There are 2 more Iron Knuckles, so he only needs to defeat 1 to get a goal for his team. Number players writing, he didn't tube them, lol.
And we can see some nice use of ISG on these Stalfos Knights.
For those of you who aren't familiar with OOT, ISG is a very important glitch. Stands for Infinite Sword Glitch, and what it generally does is it means that your sword will always be swinging. So you can do a jump slash to store the damage of whatever jump slash weapon you use, which is usually Master Sword or Deku Sticks for 4 damage, and then grab ISG, and you can just run into things, and it will constantly take damage as long as you're hitting them.
Yes, he got the
And
Iron
there we
Knuckle
are.
goal.
That's going to be a relatively big blow for Sloth and Lamb, just because that was a goal that they knew where everything was, and they definitely could have done. But unfortunately, they got bitten to the punch there.
Yeah, but to mention it, Sloth only did 1 and Blanca did 0 once. So there was some time they needed to get this.
Looks like Bonner is doing the hover to get the 30 Deku Sticks again. Hopefully this time he doesn't miss the load zone.
And here we get Lamb lining up for the bomb chew boost over to the regular bombs and the bomb bag.
Looks like he's doing the Mega Flip jump over to the bombs. There is another setup of the chew boost, which boosts you up onto the ledge nearby, and then you can jump to it there. But looks like he's going for the Mega Boost strat.
And we see Benoru did manage to get 2 Deku Scrubs there, as you can see them waving in and out of each other in a comical manner.
It is important to note for the 30 Deku Sticks goal, you must have 30 Deku Sticks at all time. If you lose a Deku Stick or use a Deku Stick and it breaks and you go down to 29, you must unmark that goal.
Yeah. For any goals that you can lose, if at any time you lose them, you must either unmark it or immediately save and quit. Or not save, but quit. Immediately quit out of your program and go back to your last save.
Yeah, so if you have it and lose it, as long as you reset, you should still have it at that point because you have it saved, so that will be fine.
Yeah, there are a couple of loading zones that forces the boat chicks, the emulator to crash. So if you don't save a long time, you can lose many things. So if you play Better Quest or thinking on starting it, you should save pretty often.
Yeah, especially if the Requiem cutscene is in the wrong loading zone, it'll just crash and you're just not allowed to get the Requiem for that seed.
I believe it has to do with once the Requiem cutscene is over, it plays the desert transition with all the sand on your screen. That transition just crashes in specific locations in the game, although I believe MZX has said he'd fix that for the later revisions. Although it is worth noting that we're playing on the first revision, 1.0, which has a lot of these issues still in.
And Austria has found the mask shop, which is good news for that spooky mask. But we still need to... I haven't seen ZL from anybody.
No, it'll be interesting to see which team finds it first, if any. And then we can see how they're going to try and find out like the 2 fairy spells. So they'll be making a big note of all the fairy fountains they find, hoping that the ones that they do find are fairy spells and not things like double defense or double magic.
Yeah. You do always... No matter what, the first time you speak to a fairy, she will give you regular magic. Because otherwise you can't use spells without magic. But, and then if you go back into the same fairy fountain, you can see whether it's actually a magic spell fairy or an upgrade fairy. Or it could even be the actual normal magic fairy, which is just a pain because you get basically nothing.
And we got our first snipe in the game.
Yeah, it looks like Lamb's 30 seconds too slow for the bomb back 30.
Interesting to mention for the people that don't play this game, you only get the bomb back 30 if you stop that going behind the wall or at least near the wall. You need to stop him there because if you stop him otherwise, you don't get the bomb back.
Yeah, there's a sign near where you need to stop him that specifically tells you that that's what you're supposed to do, which is helpful.
I think he also tells you if you stop him anywhere else.
Yes.
If I remember correctly, he also says, try stopping me under the rock or whatever it is.
Rust is doing the hover to get up there to the bombs. There's a way if you can hover up, then jump onto the bridge and go left. There are the location for the bombs normally, so he doesn't need to go all around.
Well, Benoru, and Lamb just found Morpha. Benoru deciding not to attempt that for the time being, but Lamb seems to be going for it.
So it's very difficult to defeat Morpha as child. You have to do some pretty precise movement in order to get Morpha to appear outside of his the water tentacles, which you can then hit him. I know Lamb has practiced this a lot. He's one of the guys who really likes to do it as child, just because it's one of those goals that a lot of people won't do. So he'll try and do it as child in order to get an early advantage. We'll have to see if this pays off in this game.
Yeah, if Lamb is able to do this, that goal will definitely be his, because otherwise it would Benoru would have to come back as an adult for a easier fight.
It looks like he's been grabbed. Managed to get out of it pretty quickly, but having half a heart means there's no room for error.
Nope, you've been getting touched by one of the tentacles rather than grabbed. Okay, that just sounded bad. Anyway, Lamb just died. So, unfortunately, that didn't...
He is a fairy.
But he has a fairy. The plot thickens. Sloth, meanwhile, going for the compass in Deku Tree. Oh, and it seems that he also went and grabbed the fairy slingshot.
The question will be is, if Lamb doesn't manage to kill Morpha on this attempt, will he go back and try and do it as child again to try to grab that early square to try and even out the odds? Because at the moment they're down 4-0. A lot of the early goals that they knew they could do have been sniped already, which is unfortunate for them, but they're going to have to see if they can figure out some way to try and even the odds.
That could be the reason why he's desperately trying to kill Morpha, so they're getting on the board.
Yeah, especially with Lockout like this, the the earlier goals are often the easiest ones, with the rare exception of a goal that is mostly luck, or one that only has one loading zone and you're just hoping you find it. Oh, and we have Austria, who also seems to be going for Morpha. So this will be an interesting showdown.
Lamb has the advantage because he entered it earlier, but he does have low health. If he makes a mistake here, he's going to lose the goal, assuming Austria manages to do it as well.
Did Lamb manage to get a hit in?
He's landed a few, I've seen. I think it's 6 you need with the Master Sword Jump Slash. I don't remember offhand exactly how many it is, but it is quite a slog.
And here we see Sloth using that Sun Song to make his way into DC.
That was actually the loading sound from King Dodongo, so he was not in DC.
Oh, oops.
And Lamp got it.
Nice.
Well done. That's not an easy not an easy fight to do, but the added benefit is he also sniped Austria, so Austria is now doing the fight for nothing because he's not going to be able to get this goal.
Plus, there's the fact that Austria is not going to find out until Lamb gets into the cutscene of finishing Water Temple.
Yeah, so it's important. It's
Yes,
important to note that with the Water Temple or the Temple goals for a general about beating bosses, there are actually several of them. There's the defeat the boss itself, which you claim the instant you hit the last hit on the boss. Beat the temple itself, which occurs when you step into the blue warp, and medallions for some of the temples as claimed during the cutscene and when you're holding it over your head. So there's 3 different types, and in this case, he actually had to step into the Water Temple blue warp before he could claim that goal.
Yeah. Sorry. Goals that involve beat the dungeon rather than just beat the boss means you do have to sit through the cutscene after the blue warp cutscene, which does take a lot more time out of your ability to keep looking for new areas.
What's nice is MZX has actually shortened a lot of the cutscenes. So things like the medallions, the light arrows, even ZL slightly, they've all been shortened, so they're actually not as long as they would be in the standard Ocarina of Time. So even though you do have to watch the cutscene, unless you do a cutscene skip, it's actually not too bad in Beta Quest for the most part.
Oh, and we're seeing a back in time from Sloth here.
We see Fiesel rooting for some team.
Oh, and or rather, Sloth is going to fight Phantom Ganon?
Yeah,
Looks like it.
I think I must have messed up. I guess Sloth hasn't gone adult yet. He's just preparing for it just in case.
What's interesting to note is Phantom Ganon is found by going back in time. So what Sloth did was he found the Master Sword the Master Sword warp, which puts you right on the Master Sword. If you play Sun Song there, that's the same as when you're adult, putting the sword back into the pedestal and going back to child. You can only do that if you've killed Phantom Ganon, which means Phantom Ganon isn't actually possible to find unless you kill him before you go adult.
It's also interesting to note that in this game, for most purposes, the slingshot and the bow are very similar, apart from the elemental arrows. So targets that would be gold as a child and meant for the slingshot will simply look silver when you're an adult pointing a bow at it. In a similar manner, a Phantom Ganon can just as easily be dispatched with the slingshot as the bow.
You can also kill him with a hookshot.
That was a quick fight by Sloth. Nicely done.
Yep. And
Temple.
Austria finishing up Bongo very quickly there too.
Yeah, I think Bongo is not that difficult if you can use ISG, because he just runs into your attack and you kill him first try. If you have, for example, a jump slash saved in your ISG.
Yeah, and you can easily do that by simply jump slashing into the boss fight. However, you still need to try and get ISG while the drum is bouncing up and down, which is fun. Oh, and Benoru finding the mirror shield, and it seems taking a moment to write it down.
Mirror Shield is actually very important in this. We have light arrows, which means we need to kill Twin Nova, and you need the Mirror Shield for that. But also have get to the end of Spirit Trial, which requires the Mirror Shield and the last area of it in order to get to the final room.
Yeah, worth to notice. Yeah, go on.
And I was just going to mention Benoru finding the silver gauntlets as well.
But you don't pick them up. Yeah, what I was going to say is getting to Mirror Shield. Well, for normal players, they can use tricks. For example, they would have not found Mirror Shield because you needed to go out of Kokiri Forest, and normally in the normal game, or even here in Better Quest, there is one guy stopping you from it until you beat Goma in Deco Tree. There is a trick called Pokey Escape to just bug yourself into Pokey. That's the guy that's standing there. And then you can, with a precise roll under his feet out of the Kokiri Forest. You need to use that to get Mirror Shield in this seat. Or beat Goma.
It's going to be interesting because now that Sloth is gone adult. He's gone adult pretty early, which I think is a good move. You generally want to have one person as adult and one person as child, and then you can try and grab the adult goals as early as possible. But the interesting thing is that guy won't block your way as adult. So as Sloth is now adult, if he finds Kokiri Forest again, he can easily just walk out the door and get Mirror Shield from there.
Yeah, because that guy is... if you are an adult, he still blocks the way, but he is in Lost Woods then.
The one who blocks you in Lost Woods is Mido, a different guy. It's the guy who blocks your way to the Deku Tree.
Oh. They
do the same thing, they annoy you, but...
yeah.
And both of them you can get past pretty easily.
About it.
To be honest, in the Japanese version, I don't know which one is who. As an adult.
Well, Mito is Charlie Brown. He's the one that's like, good grief, you went and got the Kokiri sword? He is similarly annoying in manga, which I actually read.
BlancaLamb is, by the way, attempting to get iron boots. Worthy to know, if in Ice Cavern, even if you get to the end, you don't get Serenade as a child. Because Serenade cutscene will only appear if you are adult.
Yeah. However, as a child, if you go into Ice Cavern, your options are either to come back with some blue fire, or, as Lamb is about to show, clip through the red ice. Because... and luckily for Lamb, it's the compass in Ice Cavern that you can easily get it as a child. To get the map as a child, you have to either do some very specific ground jump and other jumping, or just hover.
Yeah, normally if you enter in the normal game, Ice Cave, you're an adult, and you would go the way up to collect the map, for example, and there's a blue fire fountain like this one, and you can stall the blue fire with your bottle and go down there and delete the blue fire. As a child, you can't do this because the steps are too high for young Link to reach.
It looks like he got that relatively quickly. I think he used 2 juice for that. But also, while that was happening, Sloth actually found Shadow Temple, which is actually very helpful. He couldn't do anything in there yet because he didn't have any bombs, or he didn't. I don't think he has an adult shield, so he couldn't flip across the gap. But you generally want to do that to get hover boots pretty quickly, which are very useful for a lot of goals. And there's also the 5 small keys in there once you have the required gear for it.
Yeah. The mega flip over to hover boots is really cool looking. Not
Looks
the
like
least
Austria.
because I just figured out how to do it like today.
Looks like Austria's going to check the load zone behind the gate in Gerudo's Fortress. So what you can do as Child Link is get up on the tower, and with a precise side hop, you can side hop onto the cliffs surrounding, and then you can just side hop behind the gate.
Roughly to note, his angle there was slightly off. He was too far to the left. That's why he didn't jump out. He always hit it the corner, so he couldn't jump out.
And something we can see on
got
Lamb's screen is that if you push these ice blocks as a child, they just kind of pull you with them. Also, the fact that that rupee encased in red ice, you can just jump slash it.
One thing to note is, in order to get the blocks to pull you along with it, you need to press L, which is the display map key. Or the display map button. It's actually not used really at all for the most part. You generally just want to have your map on at all times. But it is important to note to not push the block off the edge and go with it.
You don't need to press L. You just need to hold the direction you're pushing and A. Tested it yesterday. You just need to push in a direction and press A.
Yeah, that's much easier than pressing L, because if you'll remember on an N64 controller, despite having that weird 3-pronged shape, you really only ever use the middle one and the right one, which means the L button is kind of hard to get to for most circumstances.
The N64 controller wasn't exactly well thought out for the most part, as much as we all have fond memories of it. There were some clear design flaws.
I liked it.
Well, it kind of assumed you had 3 hands, or that nobody was going to use the D-pad. Which, to be fair, D-pads aren't exactly used much when you have an analog stick. Except for Kirby. But,
Rena is mentioning something in the chat. She said you press L by bumping it against your desk or knee.
that is a way to do it. I've done that.
Me not.
Well, not specifically the L button on a N64 controller, but I have been playing on the Wii U gamepad and set it weirdly against my knee and hit the triggers by accident.
So Lamb's managed to get Iron Boots, which gives them a goal, which is quite nice. It also helps a lot with Defeat Darkling, so I'm pretty sure they found water earlier, which means if they can find, if they either find ZL or just get the keys otherwise, he can do Defeat Darkling when he turns adult.
Yep. It looks like Sloth is going for those songs and has gotten Prelude to Light, which can be a bit difficult since you need to go back. you need to fight Phantom Ganon and then go back to Master Sword twice as adults. Because the first time you'll just get the cutscene where she's like, no, you can't go back in time.
It actually runs in together. I'm pretty sure if you get the first cutscene, as soon as the first cutscene ends, it'll play the second one, if I remember
Yes.
correctly.
It
Not when I did it, but okay.
Then you were unlucky. It can be happening if you would get the loading zone entering Temple of Time. Then you get the cutscene, and then you are in front of, not in front, you are going into Temple of Time. Then it happens. But if you get the loading zone from the Master Sword room, you end up being in the Master Sword room. Normally.
We seem to be having some trouble with Benoru's stream. I'm not sure if the cutscene just decided to die or if something else happened, but hopefully there's nothing too problematic there.
There's something interesting going on Sloth's stream. Sloth did test a loading zone that you can only test as adult. In Goron City, there is a loading zone behind Darunia, the boss of the Gorons, where you can only push away the block if you are adult, because he's otherwise in the way. And this loading zone gets you Forest Temple. So, yeah, Team Blue, yeah, it's blue, can only use this loading zone by using Sunsong if they get the loading zone in front of Darunia.
There is I believe there's a clip with a bomb shoot, a very precise angle you can do, which will push you straight into the load zone. But yeah, it's not something you generally test very often. Generally, as a child, you will try and do other areas or load zones in Goron City that are a bit easier to find. But the other thing is, unless they find the exact warp at Darunia or like that exits that area, they won't be able to get in without ZL or other crazy tricks to kind of push them out of bounds and then get back into that room.
And we see Lamb finding the warp to finishing the horseback archery game, which is always a bit of a pain because it's just so far away from all of the other loading zones in the area.
Austria just found it as well. Looks like Sloth found Minuet, which I believe is his fourth. I think he has Prelude, Suns, Requiem, and now Minuet. So this should be their goal.
Yes.
There we go.
What's worth to mention is it doesn't matter which lead any team has. For example, last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, I don't know, was another match in this tournament, and the team was 9-1 goals ahead. And the different team that only had one goal managed to get a 12-12 out of it.
Oh.
So even we saw it in this game a little bit. Team Blue was, if I remember correctly, 4 goals to 0.
Yep. And now it's 4-3.
Yes, because it depends kind of which loading zone you get. It's not luck because you just need to test the right one. And it depends on can you actually do the goal if you are there.
Yeah.
Very interesting to note. Austria just did a hover on Garuda's Fortress to get over the gap, although you can just make the jump with a jump slash. So I'm wondering why he used a chew there.
Did a mode Sloth place.
Yeah, he has mentioned that Bonora's stream seems to have died, which is unfortunate.
I'm gonna just check out what happened to Bonoru.
Sloth making some use of all those songs he got to somehow get into the middle of the market as an adult.
So how that works is when you play a warp song into zones that have a fixed camera. So, for example, market, the camera sits on the fountain and swivels around as you go through. Any area that you get into like that via a warp song, the camera will basically do the standard of follow link, which in the fixed camera zones causes a bit of a weird kind of trippy effect.
Okay. Fiesel, are you still here? Bonoro's stream is up. You maybe need to refresh it. Because in the... Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Great.
there we go.
So now we can see all four players again. Oh, that happened to me before what happened to Bonoro. He just got a clip into the Kakariko Bazaar. If you then move forward instead of moving
Left.
behind or left, you end up falling down and getting back warped into the loading zone you had left. That's funny. Yeah, go on.
I was going to say, it looked like to be it was a on purpose to do that one, because what happens is the loading zone he found was exiting the adult archery minigame. Generally, you can't enter this as child because it's not there as child. It's still under construction. But if you find the warp from there, you can then clip out of bounds and reset your position. This puts you inside the bricks there, and the loading stone is still there as child, so you can then just move back and enter the adult archery game as a child, which is a new loading zone that you're not supposed to be able to do.
Yeah, worth mentioned to note is Bonoro never picked up Sansong. He could have made it way easier with Sansong. But then he
with
would
Sansong would be the same as leaving, though. It's not the same as entering.
That's what I wanted to mention. He could have checked 2 loading zones leaving, and this way he did is entering, so it's a different loading zone. And he died in Graveyard, so he got a new loading zone again.
Looks like Sloth has gone back to child. Looks like he went adult just to quickly grab the songs, and then he's gone back to child again.
Not a bad choice. You can get a lot of songs very quickly as an adult because you simply need to get to the right place and Sheik will show up.
But I'm not sure if it is the right choice to go both a child again, because sometimes it can be pretty useful to send one player go adult and doing the adult goals.
It's possible they might have wanted to swap. It looks like Lamb is in the Master Sword cutscene now, so it's possible that they wanted one child and one adult, but they figured that Lamb was better situated to get the adult goals over Sloth, so they get Sloth to go back in time, and then Lamb to go adult now.
Worth to mention is they found Forest Temple, and maybe Lamb is the better player out of them to execute the Mac goal. Mac is the purple bow in Forest Temple.
Yeah, because generally when you're going through Forest Temple casually, you need the hook shot, you need the Song of Time to move the blocks. You need a whole lot of stuff that most speedrunners don't bother with. So getting through Forest Temple does require a fair bit of skill if you don't have the appropriate tools.
We did see that Lamb found Hookshot, which will help a lot. Whether he'll get strength to skip the blocks or to push the blocks, or maybe get hover boots instead, because they did find Shadow. We'll have to see which kind of method they go for.
Also, Sloth did not have a adult shield, if I remember correctly.
But yeah, that's actually one thing that you really don't want to do for the most part, is to go adult without a shield, because if you can't find one, you're in quite a bit of trouble. There's a lot of tricks and glitches that require a shield.
Yep. And there's a lot of loading zones you can find as a child that aren't there as an adult. For instance, the market as a child has, like 10 loading zones? And then as an adult you have 3.
Not quite, because in Better Quest you can even get as adult to the streets, and they're still intact, so you can grab the side loading zones you can. The only loading zones you can't grab is in the marketplace for himself because it's burnt down.
Oh yeah, the back alleys do still exist as a separate area. I just meant the market area itself.
Okay. Bonoru found bottom of the well.
Looks like Austria's also grabbed the odd mushroom as child. So the chest at the top of Greta's fortress as adult contains a heart piece, but as child it contains the odd mushroom, which is I have no idea why that is. I don't know what the programmers were thinking or whether thing. I do know that I think they were originally planning for you to get to Greta's fortress as child initially, and then it got changed later on, so it's possible that it's just a remnant or something there, but it seems he's grabbed that for some reason. I'm wondering what he's going to do with it.
We see Benoru grabbing the bottom of the well shoes and the compass in there. And he looks to be heading over to...
There's something interesting.
there we
Sloth
go.
was adult before and had no explosives. What is also really needed to get something out of it. He gets now his first juice.
Way after everybody else went in there for the spirit trial choose. Oh, and Sloth getting a rather nice backflip there. Meanwhile, Benoru's heading straight for that lens of truth with that lovely little swim under the bottom of the well clip.
It's the actor glitch.
Yeah.
No, he went with the... Didn't he go with the vine clip? I thought he clipped out of bounds from the choose rather than the active glitch. I didn't see it, but I figured, considering how long it took him to get there, I figured he probably vine clipped from the choose.
I think he clipped because he was swimming under... He was swimming under the things, and then
he made a vine clip.
Yeah.
There's two ways to get to this place. For me, I guess vine clip is a bit more difficult because for the actor glitch you really only need a key and a precise roll. But yeah, it depends on what did you learn and what is for you easier to execute.
I find it interesting that Lamb's grabbing the Death Mountain skulls. I don't know if he managed to get all of the child ones, and I don't know if it's going to be very easy for him to get back to child at all. So it'll be interesting to see if he collected them all or not, because I didn't see him get them, the child ones.
Well, we're about an hour in at this point, and we haven't seen Zelda's Lullaby at all so far. So
yeah, but worth to mention is Zelda's Lullaby is a single loading zone, so getting that is kinda difficult. For example, I had a match race or just the Kua practice yesterday, and I needed GTG, and the GTG was behind Song of Time, and you only get Song of Time if you manage to beat all 3 child dungeons. So Song of Time contains a loading zone as well, and for example, if there's ZL behind Song of Time, you will not even see it here.
Yeah. There isn't a whole lot of stuff in Beta Quest that makes it sure that you can get absolutely everything on the board. That's why we have a 3-hour time limit, because it just might not be possible.
Looks like Austria found Forest as well, but he doesn't have the equipment he needs to do it, so he's going to leave it for now and hopefully come back later.
Yep.
Did he do the same way as Sloth, using Song of Time?
No, he went through the statue in Goron City.
Oh, yeah, that was it.
Well, it looks like Benoru's stream has died again, and on Sloth's stream we see that Bongo Bongo has died.
It's going to be, I think, at this point, difficult for them to try and compete on light arrows because he is behind and they haven't yet found Mirror Shield. So if Austria can find Twin Ray Bar, that's probably going to be another goal for them.
I believe they found Twin Robot. I saw somebody fighting Naboru.
No, it wasn't Naburu.
Okay.
It was the normal Iron Knuckle and Spirit Temple. By the way, BlancaLamb is going for reverse ball adventure. Maybe Spliff, you wanna explain it?
Okay. So, Reverse Bottle Adventure is a very well-known glitch. It's been around for a long time now. Where if you get a bottle onto your B button by doing either with bombs or by jumping into water and pressing B at the right time, you can put a bottle on your B button. When you drop or catch bugs or fish or anything in your B bottle, depending on what is on your C right button, you can manipulate your inventory in specific ways. So, for example, he got bottle on his B button with an empty bottle on C right. That basically gives you a bottle into your third bottle slot. It looks like he also did the Pocket Cuckoo, which gives you Adult's Wallet, which you want for Giant's Wallet, because it means that you only need 10 skulls. It also gave him Black Gauntlets, which one of the glitch strength upgrades that acts at the same strength level as Golden Gauntlets, but they're just black in appearance.
We just saw a nice little dive clip thing from Austria to get into the Zora Warp from as adult without any sort of scale. And Lamb finally going to grab the Sun Song, probably because it's needed to get somewhere.
I guess picking up Sunsong every runner does. Maybe later, sometimes early, because you can check so many loading zones with it. For example, every boss room has a loading zone that you can grab exclusively with Sunsong, or you go into the dungeon and go through the whole dungeon and enter the boss room. But with Sunsong it goes way easier and quicker.
Yep. And I see him grabbing that giant's wallet.
Yeah, that'll be the reason he grabbed Sunsong, is because it led to Skullhouse. So now that he has the Giant's Wallet, because he RBA'd the Adult's Wallet, and then the way the game works is when you check for the wallet upgrade, the game goes, do you have the Adult's Wallet? If you do have the Adult's Wallet, I'll give you the Giant's Wallet. If you don't have the Adult's Wallet, I'll give you the Adult's Wallet. That's really interesting as well, because what will happen is if you RBA the Adult's Wallet and get the Giant's Wallet, then if you go and get the Giant's Wallet from the normal guy who would give you the Giant's Wallet, he'll give you the Adult's Wallet back, because it says, well, you don't have the Adult's Wallet, so I'll give you the Adult's Wallet, and then you lock yourself out of getting the Giant's Wallet again.
Oh dear. And we see Austria just finished up Naboru. So we'll see them looking for those light arrows very soon.
Yeah, Ostrea, by the way, has the mirror shield, what Sloth didn't have. And I also think Blanca doesn't have the mirror shield yet.
No, he doesn't. Looks like Blanca's just got into Forest Temple, so he's going to start working on that, which means light arrows are pretty much assured to go to Austria at this point.
Yeah. We are going to see some nice bits of glitching and clipping from Lamb fairly shortly, though. Forest Temple is quite interesting using speedrun strats.
Unfortunately, he's probably going to be doing a lot of it vanilla style, because I don't think he has hopper boots, which are usually required for more of the ridiculous forest strats.
Benoru continuing to add to his compass count. Do you guys know where he's at so far?
I want to say 4. But I'm not entirely sure.
And we
Where is
have
it called
Sloth
speedrunning and not
Goma.
cheating? It's called speedrunning and not cheating because you don't enter anything or use anything that's not into the game. And glitch is not a cheat.
No, if you
Sloth's...
can do it in the game, despite the fact that they never intended you to. Anyway, you were talking about Sloth?
Yeah, he's actually quite advanced in the heart count right now. He's at 6 with the rest of the other guys at like 4 or less. So he's likely to get the hearts at this point. He's been collecting as many as he can, but you never know. He might struggle to find the last few that he needs.
Yeah.
After
And
Goma,
this would explain why he's fighting Goma.
yes, Sloth can also still get water boss fight, so he could have 8. So he only needs 1 more.
Yep. Plus, there's the fact that this game has quite a lot of heart pieces scattered everywhere. So if you
Screw heart pieces.
there's a few of them that are pretty.
Screw
good.
them.
He's already grabbed the ones in Gerudo Valley. I did see him grab those ones. So I don't know if he's grabbed the ones in Zora's River either.
Yeah, the ones in Zora's River are pretty easy. The one on Death Mountain Trail is basically free. I don't know how he didn't catch that.
Because he never went there.
No, I mean the developers.
Oh.
Noticing that you could just backflip onto there as a child. Why would you ever want to be there?
Yeah, usually I expect they wanted you to use the beam plant in order to get that, but if you just backflip off the top where you throw the bomb down to destroy the boulder in front of DC,
I don't think that the developers think of the option that someone would be crazy enough to backflip a hill downwards.
Well, I don't think the developers thought anyone would be crazy enough for any of this stuff, but that's one of the more simplistic things that a lot of people would have done even casually.
Is there even a game that's more broken than Better Quest? Oh, better said, OOT.
Well, there are some games like Super Mario World and stuff where you can get arbitrary code execution, in which case, yeah, they get pretty broken.
Anything with arbitrary code execution, like Pokemon Red and Blue, where you can basically turn the game into your own personal hex editor and do literally whatever you want.
Yeah, we're not that level of broken yet, but Ocarina of Time has definitely got its fair share of broken mechanics.
What would happen, maybe Spliff, you know this, what would happen if we go the any % route, so clipping out of Goma in Better Quest? Did someone ever test this?
I believe in the initial version, version 1.0 that they're playing on, any kind of wrong warp crashes. But I think MZDX said that he'd fix this for later versions, so you should be able to do it. But I haven't tried any of that on the new versions.
Okay.
So Austria just finishing up with Twin Rova, so he'll probably be heading straight for those light arrows.
I find it interesting that Lamp has gone the long way around to get the key at the bottom of the well in the Forest Temple, because I think we saw him get Iron Boots, and you can actually just wear Iron Boots and hookshot the chest and open it like that, so you actually don't need to go through the entire way.
Wasn't it Sloth that picked up the Iron Boots?
I thought it was Lamb.
I'm not sure.
Well, we see Sloth going for Baronade here.
But yeah, normally you would just use your Iron Boots, go down this way, and then just hookshot the treasure to open it.
Okay.
Because without hookshot, you can't open it.
We can see Benoro carefully making his way up, avoiding the Skulltulas in Deku Tree for that particular compass.
One other thing to note about Lamb doing Forest is he's going to have to get all of the keys pretty much, because he can't really skip any of the locked doors with the equipment he has. he's going to have to do basically Forest Temple as most casual players would run it, unfortunately, which is quite long.
He can use some glitchless strats, but I don't know if he knows them.
Yes, because casual players can just clip through the block in the song block.
For example, in the area he's now, there is a glitchless strat to get to an area below him, but I don't know if Blanca knows them. I know Sloth knows it.
Yeah, he can. He even has bombs, so if he really needs to, he could just do a mega side hop or mega flip to get to that area. But yeah, we'll have to see if he knows it. He'll probably push the blocks first, because if you don't push the blocks all the way, they reset if you leave the room. So he's probably going to lock them in position, and then get that key on the way back.
There's the place I was spoken about where you can use the glitchless thread.
Well, we can see the light arrows cutscene right here. And with
what's
Sloth,
left of it anyway.
Yeah, Sloth being completely fearless about dodging those flames while still having his Deku shield.
I don't think these flames burn down the Deku shield anyway.
They do.
They do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do not have that kind of nerve. I would absolutely take off my shield immediately when starting this area.
I don't think he has another shield. I think he has to do it with Deku shield equipped.
Yes, he has to.
Oh.
But yeah, you played a lot with me, Flexi, and you know how often I use this. I need to get this shield again.
Yeah, half the time I'll go get mirror shields just because it means I can unequip the Deku shield and save it for when I need it. Anyway, Sloth grabbing that hook shot, which seems to indicate he might be going adult again. Or he's trying out the other Gerudo warp.
I don't think he will go adult again, because now Blanca is adult and there are some things you can only do as child. So I guess he will stay child.
Looks like Lamb's trying to get the glitchless strats that you're talking about to get to the other key easier. But I don't know what method he uses, but this one seems to be unfortunately not working out so well right now.
So
I watched Number play yesterday, and he tried that strat and said it's fairly easy. Why he never used it? First try, easy.
Don't
you love it when you get a hard trick first try just by sheer happenstance and go, oh yeah, that was easy. Never mind that it's frame perfect.
I don't think that this trick is really frame perfect, but I don't...
It depends on the setup. It looks like he's going to avoid that. I think he's just going to do a flip from top, either mega side hop or a mega flip.
Maybe he dropped one time. Okay, I can test it one time. Didn't get it. Shit on it.
Well, looks like he might actually be skipping it for now. Might have to come back for it later, or go the usual way to get that key.
Yeah, I always thought Forest Temple was really cool as a kid with the twisty corridors and all that.
Forest Temple is probably one of my favorite temples, just in general. It's a really cool temple in terms of theme, and the puzzles inside are actually pretty solid.
I also loved how you fall down the hole, but that Stalfos had no trouble walking on thin air.
Because Stalfos are cheaters.
I'm sure lots of people probably were like, oh, there must be invisible floor. Oh.
Nope.
I'm sure Splav did that as he was a child.
The interesting thing to note is once you've started running the game a bit and you're doing some glitches and stuff, and you don't need to, but if you don't get that key in the room underneath, these Stalfos don't spawn until you've killed the Stalfos in the room below. So if you glitch past to get to the bow early without killing those Stalfos, you get to the room and the room's just empty, and you can't get the bow until you've killed the Stalfos downstairs.
However, I have seen someone do a weird shot to get around that. I don't quite remember how it worked, but used a weird shot to clip through the floor and get to the other part of that room.
Bonaru, by
Yeah.
the way, needs to start again hookshot because he got hit by a flame and the flame pushed him back to the door, so the door was closed. He needed to start again.
Gameplay once again claiming victims.
And to answer a question in the chat, Callis, we was joking about that Stealthers are cheating because they can walk over a gap without falling down.
Well, not all of them. I think that one in Spirit Temple, if you drop him out down the pit, he just kind of stays there.
It's interesting to see that Bonora did end up finding the hookshot. Obviously, we did go back to Jabba at some point. So now that they have this, they're probably going to see if they can start getting some of the skull girls that they'll need.
No, not cheaters, cheating. Yeah. Meanwhile, Blanca is still doing Forest Temple. I think the purple Poe, I'm not 100% sure, but it's the last one, right?
Yeah, the
Yes.
purple foe is the fourth one. It requires you to defeat the other three and get back to the center room.
By the way, the
As
circled
far as I'm
room,
aware.
Spliff, the circled room, he just enter it now. You can glitch through it without using the arrows, right?
Which room? Sorry.
The circled room, if you use the arrow and shoot the eye, the room gets turned to the left, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so the reason he's going this way is because he needs to get that key that he missed from doing the glitchless strats. He needs that key in order to get to the Green Poe, Amy. So in order to defeat Meg, he still needs to defeat the Green Poe, and without hover boots, you have to go the long way. Or unless he wanted to hover the entire way up, which is a pain.
But normally you can just glitch through that circled room to get the boss key earlier, right?
No, technically no. You'll probably still need the bow at that point. In order to get the boss key, you'll need to actually go back and get it by rotating the room.
Who needs boss keys anyway?
So what we failed to notice while we were talking about this is Austria managed to get to the end of Spirit Trial. So it looks like I can't actually tell because the quality's not amazing. It looks like he's got the light arrows, which he's been using to shoot the web, which you need to let the light in. But since he had Mirror Shield, that was relatively easy goal that they could do.
You can shoot the web with light arrows?
He doesn't actually have magic, so it'd be just a normal arrow he fires, but there's torches in there that have fire on them that you can then line up a shot that will destroy the web with a precise angle.
Yeah, and without the... you wouldn't think arrows would be much good without a bow, but I believe you can RBA yourself some arrows, so as long as you find one of the elemental arrows, you can actually shoot.
Looks like Bonori's doing the clip through the silver boulder in Zora's Fountain to try and get the skull up there.
Yep, meanwhile, Austria grabbing those fire arrows.
The reason he'll be grabbing fire arrows is if you RBA fire arrows with bugs or fish or something, it'll give you the Fire Temple boss key. So he'll grab the fire arrows and then he'll do RBA to grab that goal pretty quickly. He doesn't need to find fire at all for that.
Yeah, I believe some of the boss keys are RBA-able. There's a weird list of stuff that you can RBA.
Get a reset. It's not bingo, and it's not who gets the most files. It's in Lockout. So the first team that gets 30 squares or has the most after 3 hours wins.
Going back to some of the keys that are RBA-able, fire arrows corresponds to Fire Temple, for ice arrows correspond to Water Temple, and light arrows correspond to Spirit, I believe. So you can RBA those three, and then there are other ways to RBA things for like Deku and Deku Tree and that boss key, which don't really exist, but you can definitely RBA those as well.
But did the team of Austria and Benoro grab every child skull they need for the spot? Didn't check if they really Death Mountain Crater, for example, or Death Mountain anyways. I think only Blanca did take them.
This hovering boss is actually insane. He actually ran out of chews. He didn't have enough chews to get there, so he's done some crazy strats to realign himself, and now is using bombs to get some distance and stuff. Without hover boots, hovering in this manner is actually very, very difficult. So we'll have to see if he can manage to pull it off correctly.
Thanks, Darkwolf. Yes, RBA stands for Reverse Bottle Adventure.
We have Sloth going back to adulthood. He's been having quite the adventures through time during this match.
Man, that was an insane display by Austria. That is an absolutely terrible hover that he managed to pull off like first try. So props to him for doing that. It looks like he's now going to try and grab the bottle on B, so that when he gets up. When he catches his bugs with fire arrows and C right, he'll get the Fire Temple boss key.
Yeah, PB Jelly. Reverse Bottle Adventure lets you put your bottle onto B, and you can glitch some items in your inventory. For example, like Benoro just used it, he can use fire arrows without having the bow. He can also, we saw earlier, one of the competitors did glitch himself the adult wallet, right?
Yes, you can glitch yourself the adult wallet early.
Yeah, he did glitch himself the adult wallet, so he needed 30 skulls for get the giant wallet. He only needed 10.
If you two will excuse me for a moment, I have some IRL stuff to deal with, so
go on.
I'll be back in a few.
Interesting to note that we now have Benoro in Forest Temple. He is quite far behind, unless Blanca screws up massively. He's probably not going to be able to outrace him for the Meg goal.
Yeah. For example, Jelly, you can also, there's a goal that means get all 4 body slots filled. And for example, with RBA, you can RBA if you have a bottle on your C right and you use RBA, you get a bottle on your 3rd slot without collecting it casually.
You can RBA all of your bottle slots. You need one initially to start with, which is usually the one from CAC by collecting chickens. If you RBA with Nehru's Love on C right, you'll get your 2nd bottle. If you have an empty bottle on 3rd slot, that's 3rd slot, and then Red Potion will be your 4th slot, which is generally the way that you'll get 4 bottle slots in bingos in Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, Darkwolf, you could say pushing the ice block in Ice Cavern as a child is fast pushing. But I think it's not that what you wanted.
It's an interesting hover by Benoro. I did not know that was a thing that you could do, but it makes sense considering he doesn't have strength to push the blocks and he doesn't have hover boots to cross the gap.
Which one of Kalis, I hope I read your name right. Which one of them? Bonoru or Ostra?
I'm assuming Bonaru, because I don't think Ostria was doing anything crazy.
He did
Basically, what
RBA.
Bonaru was doing was... I guess that's also true. He did get RBA.
But you can maybe, if you want, you can explain hover, because you say that often enough.
For those of you who aren't experienced with Ocarina of Time, if you get ISG, which is the Infinite Sword glitch, it does not allow you to fall off ledges while swinging your sword. So if you're constantly swinging your sword, you cannot fall off ledges. How this works is if you get enough height off the ground with ISG, it thinks you're on a ledge and it won't let you fall, which means you can use more explosives to push yourself up higher and stuff. But for what the top Austria was doing was he was getting a bottle on his B button, which is a glitch which can be done in multiple different ways. But once he had the bottle on B, he dropped his bugs, or picked them up, either one, with fire arrows on C right. That gave him the Fire Temple map and the Fire Temple boss key, so he can immediately claim that goal despite having never stepped foot in fire.
It's okay, you can ask as much as you want. Most of the difficult questions I will pass over to Splef, because he plays this game pretty far long now. And I'm relatively new, so I am giving difficult things to him. But yeah, as he explained, normally he would have needed to find Fire Temple and find the boss key in there. And finding the boss key in Fire Temple is pain in the ass if you can't glitch. So it takes so much time, and he just took the fire arrows to RBA the Fire Temple boss key in his inventory.
It's interesting to note that despite the fact that Bonaru couldn't get Meg, he actually is going to be in the spot for the compass, which he just picked up. So despite the fact that he didn't get that goal, he at least made it was at least somewhat worth to go for the compass, because he was already most of the way through forest anyway.
Yeah, it seems like the chat has no mods active at the moment.
Sloth managed to get his 8th heart, so now he just needs one more in order to grab the 9 hearts goal.
Yeah, he did manage to grab the 8.5 by killing Baronade earlier. No, yes, and he collected 3 heart pieces until now, I think, so he only needs 1 heart piece.
It's interesting to note that after an hour and a half, there's still no ZL in sight. So it'll be interesting to see if any team that manages to find it, they can have a pretty big advantage, because 2 fairy spells becomes available. Defeat Darklink becomes relatively easy, and Shadow Keys is also something that requires ZL. So if any team manages to find ZL, they'll have a big advantage for those 3 goals.
Yeah, Bonorus, by the way, grabbing all the adult Zoroaster main area Sculptulas. He just needs 1, I guess, because he clipped... Was Bonoru the one that clipped Truth the block?
Yes, yeah, I believe so.
Then he only needs the Zoroaster main one to finish the 8 ones, if he collected all child ones.
I believe he did. He had Boomerang for quite a long time, and I'm pretty sure I did see him grab the ones from like Zora's Fountain as child. So I believe he should have all of them except for the adult Zora's Domain.
Yeah, Colors. You can play for fun that quest. There's some races every day, more like 1-on-1s. 2-on-2s are not that quite often. yeah, it's a good moment for it. Shoutouts to Menu. He was early in the chat. He brought the community together on the Discord for Better Quest. So yeah, if you are interested in Better Quest, you can ask us, you can ask the runners, or you can simply ask Menu and come to our Discord server and learn something from the good players and a little bit from the bad players.
The good thing about Beta Quest is it's a very good equalizer for a lot of things. So even if you're relatively new, there's still a lot to learn, and it's really easy to get into it. The community's really welcoming and stuff. So if you have any questions, just let us know. We can always point you in the right direction of how to get started, or things that you need to things that you'll need to do to get started.
So yeah, shoutouts to Menu for putting us all together in this Discord server and letting us hype in game mode that makes fun, and it's just sometimes salty, like me yesterday or Flexi yesterday. But it makes so much fun, and it's just a great community.
So Bonora is now entered Water Temple. In order to get to Dark Link, you need 2 keys. He doesn't have ZL, and I don't think he has. Did he get Iron Boots?
Bonora has them.
He's
Yes.
doing chips in his clips. But he needs to get 2 keys in order to get to Dark Link in order to claim that goal. It looks like he just grabbed the compass to gain back that thing. I don't know if he'll try and do Dark Link at all.
I guess he is only collecting the compass.
So I'm back. Thanks for covering for me.
Welcome back. You beat Dark Link with Din's Fire. Okay, casual strats. Yeah, if one of the runners attempts Dark Link, you will see how easy it can look.
It's so not fair. Like, Din's Fire is supposed to be the cheese strat, and yet when I tried to do it, he just backflipped out of the way. It was awful.
Yeah, Sloth, by the way, attempts to get his 9th heart by beating Morpha.
That being said, he does have he is adult Link, and he does have the hook shot, which will make this a much easier endeavor than attempting it as child.
Maybe he can get it in one cycle.
Adult Morpher is actually much easier than child Morpher, so getting it in one cycle is not too difficult.
Especially with the hook shot, so you can just pull his little thing me do towards you instead of waiting for it to get into position.
Looks like Ostre's now in ice caverns. Probably going to try and grab the boots. So he does a quick clip to get into the geometry there, and then he can just jump through to get to the blue fire that he'll need.
Yeah. Plus, if you've ever had trouble with Morpha, it is super easy to just lure him into the corner and not even have to worry about getting hit.
Looks like he missed the one cycle though, unfortunately.
Yeah, he missed one step. So he should be easy killing Morpha next time.
Oh, well,
If
that's
he
not
does
good.
fail it.
Right? Now he's just going into the corner for safety and waiting for the attack.
Yeah, because like I said, for me, Dark Link was always not that difficult. But yeah, for the runners, Dark Link is pretty easy. The difficultest thing on Dark Link is getting to him.
Yeah, for me, casually, I'd always have the Bigoron sword by then. So Dark Link was never an issue. But I had so much trouble trying to beat him with the Master Sword.
Wait, you did really get the Goron at the big sword before Dark Link?
Yeah.
I never ever did this.
Why not? I mean, it's the best.
I finished
sword
the
in
whole
the
game with the Master Sword.
Looks like BlancaLamb's looking to get the keys needed to do Dark Link, so he's got one there. He'll need to save Warp out because I'm pretty sure he's stuck in here. But he now has one of the 2 keys he needs to get to Dark Link, so he's going to have to come back, try and grab another key, and then do Dark Link.
Well, one thing to note, as I said earlier, Austria seems like to grab Iron Boots now, and I know one of them had already Iron Boots, so I think Bonoro had it, so he could have made Iron Boot strats, but he only think about the compass and opt out then.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult, and I think it's possible that Bonoro doesn't really know the strats as well as Austria. Austria is a pretty experienced player, so I expect that he's probably much more experienced in trying to do these kind of things without ZL.
Yeah.
Looks like he's also going for the cutscene skip on the Iron Boots.
It is something we can explain. If you die exactly the moment you open the chest, you skip the cutscene of Serenade. Yes, Death Warping, for example. And yeah, so you don't need to watch the cutscene of Serenade.
Do you still get Serenade?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
So if you die in the correct frame, I think it's a 1-frame window. It might be 2. What will happen is you'll open the chest, and as soon as you get the Iron Boots, the cutscene will start, you will die, and you'll skip the entire cutscene and still get Serenade.
It's the 2nd frame of the explosion himself.
So,
yeah, looks like we got it.
Lamb's doing a very good job of showing that walls in this game don't really mean anything.
Yeah, you were away for a second. Bono did already the same thing.
Okay.
He got his 7th compass that way.
I didn't miss anyone finding ZL, did I?
No, still no ZL in sight.
Okay.
But yeah, looking at the board, the only thing 2 things you get from ZL is Spooky Mist and 2 fairy spells, so...
And Shadow Temple keys.
Yeah, can't you grab them without ZL?
No, you need ZL to get the boat ride to the end, because there's a key there that you'll need to grab.
I trust you can skip it, but yeah, then you need for the skull ZL as well, so that if they don't find ZL, and for example Dark Link goes to blue team, it gets pretty difficult for Blanca and Sloth to come back.
Well, it's going to be a race. Ostri's just entered Water Temple, so he's going to start collecting keys and try and make his way to Darklink.
We're at 9-6 right now, which is not impossible in any way for Zupels to come back, but...
Colors, I give you an example why Forest Wind is a good tactic. For example, if you have Shadow Temple on a child-only loading zone, you can't enter it as an adult. So if you don't know how to Mega Flip or something, you can't get hover boots. If you use Forest Wind as a child, you can reuse it as an adult and you end up being in Shadow Temple.
Yeah, you can... Forest Wind has the interesting property of if you use it within a dungeon and then use it to warp, when you're in any dungeon, you can get back to the dungeon you placed it in, which is rather nice if you want to just jump between dungeons, which can be very useful in Beta Quest.
Yeah, Pepe's made a comment on the chat saying what happens if they both do the same goal. It's whoever gets it first gets to claim it. If you get it first, you claim it as your color, and the other team cannot claim it at all.
The only way how the other team can claim it if you lose it. For example, on this board, Deco Sticks is, I think, the only thing that depends here. If for any reason the guy that has 30 Deco Sticks needs to unmark it because he uses a deco stick. The other team can mark it if they have 30 deco sticks in their inventory.
I find it interesting that Blanca is going for. He's talking to Rudo at the moment. I would have thought the better key would be the one where you have to hit the switch in the dragon's mouth to get the key from there. But he might be trying to grab the one behind the bubble wall.
So Splash was in the race. So did you play in the tournament?
I played in the first one. I did not play in the second.
So you only played. So you only played the 1-on-1 tournament.
I did play the 1-on-1, yeah. In fact,
Okay.
the only reason I started playing was to play in the 1-on-1 tournament because the tournament came around. I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll start playing.
Is it allowed to watch streams of other players?
You are not allowed to watch your opponents. You are technically allowed to watch your partners, I believe, because you're information sharing anyway, so it doesn't really matter. You are not allowed to watch your opponents, and you are not allowed to receive help from chat.
Yeah, because different people have different numbers of people in chat, so it wouldn't really be fair. So if you've been somewhere but then you forgot how you got there, you're not allowed to ask your chat to remind you. You can, however, spend some time to open up your VOD and go look for it.
There's a gap. You can ask your chat for advices, but the chat doesn't can give you hints. That's the difference.
Yeah, the chat, as long as it's something that's not specific to this particular seed of Beta Quest, but instead, how do I do a mega flip, for instance? That kind of game knowledge that isn't specific to this particular seed is generally less of a problem.
Need to inform myself again, but I know you can, for example, Runner Guy and Bloodduster's race a week ago. There was an interaction with Bloodduster and his chat, but it was something he himself found. So, for example, your chat can say things like, "Why didn't you leave?" For example, if you end up in Jabu, your chat can say things like, "Why didn't you leave Jabu?" or "Why don't you leave Jabu?" But your chat can't say, "If you leave Jabu, it's that loading zone." So they can ask you for things like, "Why didn't you leave?" but they don't hint you to make it.
Yeah, but those kind of comments are really a slippery slope, which is why many runners straight up turn off chat or don't look at it, because there's too much possibility of someone either not knowing the rules or trying to be helpful and just making things unfair.
It's interesting to see that
it's only the team that finished first.
Yeah, first team to get it gets them all. It's interesting to note that Austria's gone for the key that I thought would have been a better choice for Blanca to go for. The one here in this room is actually relatively easy to get to and pretty quick as well. So I think that they're going to lose out on Dark Link because Austria now has the two keys that he needs. He'll save Warp Out, come back to Forest, to Water Temple, and then just go straight to Dark Link. So at this point, Zoo Pals are actually going to get sniped on this, I think.
Yeah, Blanca also died. What makes it not really easy for him. Yeah, well, it's interesting what Fiesel said. The most players in Beta Quest in this tournament don't even react to the chat. They have some of them has textures on where it's written, "Sorry for not interacting with the chat. It's a tournament rule," or something like this. They don't even read chats sometimes. The only reason why I put it up, we had a race a week ago where both in one team didn't even speak with each other. They only speak with their chat, and they made the same goal even if they wasn't the same team. That's why we mentioned it.
So it's interesting to note that it looks like Sloth trying to get a bottle at the moment. And 50 minutes into the race. So usually a bottle's something you get pretty quickly, but
that's a bottle is usually the first thing other than a sword that I try and get, because
he didn't need it.
Yeah, unless you get the Ocarina early, that's your Ocarina, and it can even be used in boss rooms, whereas the Ocarina can't. That being said, this particular card didn't really require any bottle goals, because many cards, for instance, have Bottled Fairy or Blue Fire on them.
There is a bottle.
Lenore got the last skull. He's now claimed 8 Zora's skulls. Austria's going to grab Dark Link in the next couple of minutes. So it's going to look very, very dark for Zoopals at this point in time. They're going to struggle to come back from this, especially with no ZL to get the goals that they need.
Yeah, Lamb is probably going to kick himself a little bit if he gets sniped.
I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to bomb the bomb wall with bomb chews. I don't even know if that's possible. The reason I say that is I have seen Amma, who is a very, very well-known bingo runner. He's very, very good. Generally, his method of doing this is a weird clip to bomb chew from the room itself. So it's possible that it's not bombable from here.
And Austria doing the lovely don't look at your shadow, just kill him strat.
Yeah,
by the way, he did hit the bomb from up.
Yeah, it's a bit too late though. They've lost out on this goal.
Yeah.
By the way, Carlos, did you see how easily Dark Link can be beat?
I need to learn that strat, because that is just unfair.
Just side slash, and he appears on your desktop.
You generally just face the wall and then strafe right and press B at the right time as he spawns in behind you. It's pretty quick and easy to learn.
Yep.
Sloth's
definitely going for skulls here.
But yeah, let's go to the match itself. It's 10-6. 3 goals are CL goals. They are not the teams are not able to grab them without CL. And 1 goal is 3 unused keys in GTG, and no team found GTG yet. So there are 4 goals that are at the moment not possible to finish.
I'm curious as to why Lamb is still going through Water Temple at this point. Has he just not noticed that they've claimed it?
Maybe he's mad and just wants to finish it anyway.
Traditional beta quest salt coming through.
we have Sloth doing the Ocarina bomb damage strat to die faster.
Oh wait, it's already 12-6, not 10-6.
12-6 now. Banera just grabbed the Wasteland Skulls.
So that means there are 4 goals that cannot be finished, and only 3 goals left. So even if Zopals grabs all 3 goals, they are still lacking 3 points at the moment. They need CL to get back in the game.
Yeah.
They need to claim every single goal to win now.
Yeah, unless they found ZL miraculously within the next 5 minutes, they have very, very little chance.
Just to remind the chat, 13 goals means automatically you win.
Yeah, because there are 25 squares, and if you have 13 goals, you can't possibly lose. You've already passed the halfway mark.
What's interesting to note is really this game could be over pretty quickly because get to the end of Fire Trial is definitely doable for Austria and Venuri. All they need to do is Goron tuning helps a lot, but once they have when they're in trials, they can generally just get finish the goals from there. So
can you do Fire Trial without Golden Gauntlet?
There is a clip that you can do, but you could also RBA colored gauntlets if you really want to. The other thing is,
do colored gauntlets count as golden?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So even
the other thing is,
yeah, go on.
Austria already has Longshot, so that's actually that might be why Lamb's doing it, because he knows that with Longshot you can easily get golden gauntlets from Shadow Trial. Then from there you can get to the Fire Trial really quickly.
That makes no sense
Austria
because Blanca already has black gauntlets.
He'll still need the long shot to get to the end of trial unless he wants to hover.
Yes.
Because that is a very long gap, which you can do either a hover or a hover slide with hover boots, which I don't think he has.
That being said, I see Benoru quickly making his way to trials. Or just warping out of there.
I don't think he'll have the equipment to do it. Austria is the one who will be able to do it easily enough, so Benoru is probably not going to bother.
I think Benoru is at the moment just searching for GTG.
Yep.
Yeah, so Austria's found the Goron tunic. He's going to grab that quickly. Once he has that, just finding trials will get him the goal.
Funny enough, he just spent it 3 bombs and missed every one of that.
Yeah.
He doesn't really need the bombs at this point. All he has to do is get the tunic, and then we go from there. So Lamb's in Fire Trial now. He has to be quick, because if he doesn't manage to get this goal, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
Did Lamb pick up fairies?
I don't know. I'm not sure if he has fairies or so.
He's gonna have to get through this pretty quick. He's only got
realized that he needs fairies.
24 seconds on the clock isn't very much.
He picks up fairies now. Yeah, because it could be over in the next time. Thanks to Fiesel and Speed Gaming that we could bring Better Quest into the stream and open up the world for Better Quest.
It'll be interesting to see how he handles getting this, because even if you do have fairies, you have to be careful of where you die, because if you get voided out in the lava, the route resets. So he has to make sure that when he does die, he dies on a position where he's not going to void out too soon.
Yeah. So he can't be on one of the platforms that can fall.
Attempt to 32 seconds. For anyone who doesn't know, he voided out immediately. So you get 8 seconds per heart that you have of health. When he resets, though, because the health is taken after the timer starts, he still gets 4 hearts worth of time, despite the fact that he only has 3 hearts currently. So this is where his black gauntlets come into effect. He can then miss the block and then get the rupee underneath it. Plus, because he doesn't have a hover boots, he can get to the rupee on the bar block opener, the other side as well.
Yeah. I just feel like mentioning that this is in no sense glitchless at all. And in fact, some of the cards have different colored gauntlets on them specifically as goals.
Worth to mention is even the team that loses isn't out of the tournament because they are both of winner side. They never lost until now, so even the loser will continue in the tournament.
Yes, so the tournament itself is a double elimination. Both of these teams are in the winner's bracket. The winner will go into the grand finals. Oh, that sucks.
Oh.
He voted out. He's going to have to go back and do it again.
I guess the loser will play versus the winner of the next loser match, right?
I think there's 2 matches that still need to be played in losers match, and then they'll face the winner of those.
Oh, yeah.
The team that wins that match.
There are still
Sloth.
4 teams, right? Yes.
5 teams.
I mean, in loser bracket, there are still 4 teams, I think.
3, I want to say. I'll have to double check.
And Quebec is there. That's Number and Niamek.
La Boulangerie and Baguette Rect. So 3 teams.
Yes.
And Quebec play La Boulangerie. The winner of that will play Baguette Rect. The winner of that will play the loser of this match, and then the winner of that will go into the winners bracket as into the finals.
If I remember correctly, and Quebec and Zopals, the only 2 teams left that are not exclusively French, right?
Correct. And Quebec, Canadian, I believe.
Yes, Number plays a Canadian player, but I don't know about Niamek.
Yep. So this is what, the 5th time Sloth has gone through time?
Fiesel, that's not that the French players are so good in Beta Quest, it's just 85% of the community is French.
Yeah, Ocarina of Time in general has a very large French community, I've noticed.
Yeah, there's a lot of French runners, a lot of very good French runners who do a lot of bingos and stuff. And if I remember correctly, Marco, one of the French runners, currently holds the MST world record. I think he got that back from ZFG a while ago.
Yeah, Marco still has the MST world record. And Marco still is in the tournament. He's the partner of Menu. Menu did make this tournament, and they are going under the name Baked Wrecked.
The good thing about Beta Quest is because it's there's a lot of randomization. It means that newer players can compete on the same level as like some of the best. For example, Sloth and Blanca both, I believe they both started playing at the same time I did, about around the start of the year for the 1v1 tournament. So, the fact that they've managed to go so far in the tournament without losing, I think they're 3-0 right now, just shows that even though a lot of the players have been playing for years and years, Beta Quest can be accessible to anyone, and you can still compete on an equal level with some of the best players.
We need to mention something. Fire Trial is not the decider because Blue Team did unmark Western Scots.
It looks like Benori didn't actually have all the goals, or maybe lost it somehow. I'm not entirely sure what happened there.
I think Austria did it, and I think they only have 3 out of 4.
Yeah, perhaps they miscounted, or yeah.
You can. The good things on Scriptulas in one area is you can see in your menu if you have all or not.
Wait, what?
If you get all the area Skulltollers in a specific area on your map, when you hover over that area, it will show a little Skulltoller emblem next to the map name. So if you have all of them, you can see easily that you have all of them.
Is this in the normal game?
Yes.
Yep.
I did not know this. I'm learning so much more about this game just by playing Beta Quest.
So Lamb's managed to get all of the rupees, which makes the room save its state of having everything. So now he just needs to a long shot to the end.
Interesting that he decided to jump on the block and on the left.
It's
I think he's just resetting the platform.
So the main platform in that room actually sinks as you stand on it. If you have any weight on it at all, you can wear hover boots to stop that. But if you stand on it for too long, it'll sink into the lava and you'll void out if you're still on it.
Yep.
I think the only place...
If you jump onto a different platform, you can reset that.
The only place where this is not working is the circled platform, right? That one with the fire circle.
The one with the black stone also won't sink.
And will the one with the torch slug on it. That one was
Yes.
also a solid platform.
So everything where something stands on it.
Pretty much.
It's pretty easy to tell which things are the ones that. Okay, Lamb
keeps
having
missing that
quite a
jump as
few difficulties with that one specific jump.
Did
He's got
you
it now, though.
did you count how often he failed it?
6, 7 times or so.
Yeah.
Looks like he managed to get it though, so.
But to be honest, sometimes controls in Ocarina of Time, specific the focus control, is not easy at all. But yeah, it would be funny if, for example, Sloth goes for a snipe at the Wasteland Skulls.
Well, he's definitely gone to it. That's why he's back as child. He went back to adult after they got marked, but now that he's back as child, he realizes that they don't have it, so he's going to grab the last one now, it looks like. I think he's got all the adult ones.
Yeah.
I didn't see him get the one in the Wasteland, but I'm assuming he has it.
So just to be clear, to get to the end of the trial goals, to mark them, you just need to get into the room with the big glowing ball that you're supposed to shoot, correct?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct.
Because otherwise, otherwise you would need light arrows to actually finish them.
Yeah, the get to the end is just straight up enter the room with the orb in it.
Link, I don't think that the comeback is so easy to say because they still didn't found Zeal.
That is correct, Gallus. You
Yeah.
shoot them with a light arrow and that will dispel the barrier. But you don't need to do that for the goal. You just need to get to the room.
In fact, you don't even need to do that to dispel the barriers, since there's a whole lot of loading zones that are the finishing the trial loading zone. In fact, I've managed to dispel the barrier a few times just by finding them all.
For example, Bonoru uses the Ocarina items right now to play Sunsong in Goma's room. We did explain it so often, but never anyone used it. And yeah, Austria getting Requiem. Did Sloth test out the Minuet and Requiem?
I believe he has, yes. I know that Minuet was taking you to market. That's why we saw the weird gap earlier.
Okay.
What's interesting to note is Lamb is turning in the pocket cooker for Kojiro. So what I expect he's going to do is he's going to complete the adult trade quest. He's going to try and get to the later items, which you can RBA to get songs. So but usually you want to find ZL just by finding the Zelda's courtyard and talking to thing, but you can actually edit it into your with RBA. You can actually get ZL. So it looks like he's going to try and do the trade quest to get to ZL. That way he can then do the ZL goals despite never finding Zelda herself.
What item do you RPA for ZL?
I
The
think
saw.
it's the saw.
It's the saw, I think.
Oh.
I
Also-
never remember the adult RBA stuff.
Also,
Let me find
I've
it.
been calling it ZL because that's what everyone else calls it, but it's
It's Zelda.
I'm Canadian,
Zelda's
so
Lullaby.
I'm Canadian, so I really want to call it ZL.
I'm Australian, I call it ZL. Well, ZL. I call it ZL because everyone else does, but I also technically in Australian English call it ZL.
Even in German, the letter Z is in German Z as well.
So we've all been doing this to fit in, and yet there's no
It is
point.
saw. Yeah,
In
it is
English,
saw.
it is ZL.
So now that he has the mushroom, he needs to find his way to the potion shop without it expiring. So he can't save warp, he can't die. He has to basically find his way back to the potion shop without doing any of that, so that he can turn it in for the potion.
Yeah, he can't
Your
use warp
your voice
songs
is a
either.
little cracking. Get something to drink. But it's late for you, right?
It's 5:20 a.m.
That's not late. That's early.
Well,
But yeah, we
I
have been talking
believe
for 2 hours
that
now.
he mentioned he was taking a 3-hour nap so that he'd be able to be awake for this.
Yeah, man. Commitment.
Very admirable.
See, even JP Jelly says you should hydrate.
Good thing I filled a bottle up before we started then.
No, Callus, I didn't know that.
That's interesting.
Looks like Sloth's back to grabbing the skulls. Yep, there they are.
Yes, I think he only needs one more, and it's the one behind that boulder.
Now we're at 11-9, and it seems as if Zoo Pals once again has a chance,
I'm going to.
especially if they manage to RBA ZL.
Did you both think on pausing and starting again the stream? So yeah, up to date. I forgot it.
I've been doing it every like hour or something.
I did it like 10 minutes ago, but I'll do it again for safety.
I did forget it complete.
So the interesting thing here is, if they can manage to get ZL, 2 fairy spells is relatively free because they'll have made nodes of all the fairy fountains. Shadow Temple they already know, so they can get the 5 keys there. Spooky Mask is definitely possible. A bit of time commitment to get it, but I'm sure they have all the loading zones memorized. So they definitely have a shot of making a comeback. They'll still need to get Fire Temple Skulls or 3 keys in Gerudo Training Grounds, unfortunately, which they're going to have to try and find GTG, which is free if you can find it, but no one's managed to find it so far.
Yeah, worth to mention is also GTG and Max Shop are not found yet.
No, we have seen Mask Shop at least twice.
Did we?
Yes.
Oh, it was one of the shops where nothing is in it, right?
No, the Mask Shop has been visited.
We have someone in Fire Temple, by the way.
Yeah, looks like Austria is going to be going for the 5 skulls in here.
Is it a long call?
It's relatively long. The hardest part is getting the skull at the top of the thing. You have to have the Scarecrow song or long shot to do a very precise shot. So the fact that he has long shot makes it relatively easy, but it's still going to take a bit of time.
Is there even one goal on Fire Temple without RBA? That's not a long goal.
Fire Temple itself is pretty long because there's not really any way to glitch the rooms because it's so vertical. The idea of Fire Temple is you start at the bottom and move all the way up. But because it's very difficult to move up in any kind of easy way, it means you generally have to do a lot of it vanilla and casual. Yeah. There is one major skip that you can do, which I'll document when we get to it, but for the most part, a lot of it will just be normal.
Yeah, unfortunately, this game does not have a tornado rod that lets you elevator up through the floors.
I will also note that he went for the Darunia cutscene skip or the tech skip. If you do time stop with a bottle, you can enter the room with the camera facing the other direction, and because Darunia doesn't talk to you until the camera focuses on him, if you keep the camera off him, you can actually go through the room without talking to him at all, and that saves a bit of time. But he got hit by the keys as he entered the room, which caused it to cancel the glitch, and then he had to talk to him. So a bit of time lost there.
Sucks. But yeah, Blanca has the sword now. And RBA's with it. So, if I'm correctly, he should have ZL now.
Yes, that will give him ZL, Serenade, and Prelude, I believe. But it would also delete Sun Song, Cyrus Song, and Epona's Song. So, the thing with RBA is it edits values in memory as a string.
He has it.
So, when you catch bugs, that has a binary value of 29. So that's a series of zeros and ones, and then it matches in memory. So anything with a 1 you'll obtain, anything with a 0 will be deleted if you had it already.
Yeah, but Blanca only had Sunsong from the 3 songs you named. So I think he's happy doing the straight, getting ZL and losing Sunsong.
Yeah, that's absolutely a trade-off that you would do in this case, because there's so many ZL goals that are left that you'll want to do. I'd absolutely consider Sunsong useless at this point. Well, not useless, but at the very least, expendable.
Yeah.
But Sloth,
Can you get it again? Can you go back to the Sunsong
yes,
area and get it again?
I've heard you can. I've never tested it, but I believe you can.
there's one thing you can't grab again. It's a Song of Storm. But I think Sunsong you can grab again.
You can actually get Song of Storms by doing RBA as well. It's a bit more difficult, but I believe there is a way to get it.
Yeah, I mean collecting them it again without RBA.
Yeah.
But yeah, you see Blanca did give himself CL, so Zelda's Lullaby, and now he checks every fairy fountain to get fairy spells. Notable for the viewers is if he enters a fairy and the flames are red, it's not a fairy spell. It's magic, or double defense. If he enters the room and the flames are green, then it's one of the 3 fairy spells. The camera resume.
That being said, when you first go into them, the first fountain you go into, or any fountain you go into before you've gotten magic, will always contain magic, and then you can go back into that one to get whatever's actually supposed to be there.
So he need, for example, that magic he was in, or that fairy fountain he was in, he need to enter it again to find what really was behind it.
Yeah, and until you get that the first fairy and get your magic, all of them will appear with the red flames, so you don't even know which ones could have the spells.
So you see he's going to the same fairy fountain that he just got magic from, and as he enters he sees that the flames are red, so that's not good. That's not a fairy spell, so he's going to back out immediately and go look for some of the others that he found.
But yeah, worth to mention is when you played CL, you can even know which magic spell you get from the cutscene. The camera wrinkle will zoom in from the left, right, or behind the fairy, right?
It's just the middle, I believe.
The middle. And for example, if it zooms in from the left, it's Nairu's Sloth. Thor's Wind should be from the right, and Din's Fire in the middle, right?
Din's in the middle, Fires are on the left, and Nairu's from the left, yes.
That being
Austria's...
said, it doesn't matter all that much because you have to watch out the cutscene play out anyway. And you don't actually get to mark the goal until Link's holding it over his head.
So Austria's doing not exactly the major skip, but at least a minor skip. Generally, you can clip through this block and then get into the caged area down below, which has a key in. But it looks like he doesn't have any bombs to do that, so he's going to have to push the block and just do it the normal way, because he doesn't have the required explosives to clip through.
You can also, with a precise jump onto the block when you have either bombs or strengths. Then you need to use a jump to jump onto the block and get your goal.
Yeah, it looks like he tried it, but it looks like he missed it the first time, so I think he just decided to cut his losses and just push it.
It seems like Sloth is going for the Gerudo card.
He's only doing it to get a loading zone that's behind it.
No, he's probably going to do is so what happens when you get the Gerudo card, if you RBA yourself a quiver and then do the horse archery game, because you've got a glitch quiver, the game doesn't know what to do. What happens is it when you complete the archery game, it will give you the option to open, which is really weird. So you press A, you open. He opens an invisible chest, and inside that chest is a spooky mask. So he might be trying to actually get the Gerudo card, do the horse archery game after he's RBA the quiver, like a glitch quiver, and get the spooky mask that way to save going back in time for ZL.
Excuse me, what?
Yes, it is.
Knowing Sloth, I know he hates the archery game, so I think it's kind of funny that he does the goal.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the weirder glitches in Ocarina of Time. But then again, this game is quite broken in many ways. So
anything involving RBA or item already broken. Also, I find it very amusing to Ocarina items a bomb, and then it just looks like Link has this weird bomb hat on.
Yeah. So Blanca's found his first fairy spell. I think it's his first. I didn't see him pick up another one, but it looks like he's found Neighbor's Love.
The first time I used Ocarina items, I had a mask on my C right button and the bugs on my C down button. So I jumped back and made Ocarina items and did hit C right and down. So I had the mask on and the ocarina in my hand. It was pretty buggy because the mask was half on my face and half on a shield.
Oh dear. And Binaru heading into Shadow Temple for those keys.
I don't think he heads in for the keys. Did he?
Or maybe just
hover boots.
Maybe just hover boots. Since he doesn't, I don't think they've decided to do the trading sequence for ZL.
So Austria's going for the precise long shot to get to the skulls up the top. I think it's pixel perfect, so can be a bit hard to get, but hopefully you should be able to get that relatively quickly.
Yep. And this is why I, as a keyboard player, will never be that good at this game until I get a controller, because you literally can't control it that precisely with arrow keys.
Good thing I think you are the only keyboard player left. Anyway.
My controller's in the mail, it's coming.
But yeah, the good thing is Blanca already found both red magic things. All three, sorry. Because there's magic. So the next fairy fountain Blanca will find is definitely one of the fairy spells. But
hopefully he knows another one, though.
It seems like he knows where he's going.
Yeah.
So it looks like Benur is doing boat skip of all things. So he grabs the hover boots. Then he basically enters the room, but during a recoil, so the game accidentally places his respawn location a bit differently, which causes him to clip through the wall here after he hovers out of bounds. Then from there, he can then do some precise movement to get into the room before the boss, before Pongo. So now he's running across the thing, grabbing the door, and then from here, he's got to make sure that he doesn't void out, because this room is full of a lot of platforms over a void.
Yeah. Haven't they found Bongo? Wouldn't it be easier to just...
He wants to enter Bongo. He wants to enter Bongo, so I don't know if he has Sansa.
Hmm.
So boat skip is a glitch which was very interesting when it was first discovered.
It's CL.
Hello, Aurora.
Okay, hello.
Boat skip was basically Shadow Temple breaking, because now a lot of people have been saying that Shadow Temple is now a very weird kind of temple to do in bingos now, because boat ship caused a lot of stuff to be what was expected to be a bit longer. Now it's actually quite short.
So, in your opinion, what's longer? Listening to Zelda talk through the entire cutscene, or just going through the trading sequence?
If you find Zelda, trading sequence is definitely longer.
Yes. Blanca only did go to the sequence because he didn't found Zelda.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny to note they did so many sun songs, or better said, Sloth did so many sun songs in boss rooms. But Bongo Bongo he found first. He found Bongo Bongo first and never sun-songed in it.
Yep.
I think has found his second spell, so that'll be interesting, because that will mean that Austria and Benar know that they have ZL.
Yep.
I always think in these situations when I play is, did they found the cutscene, or how did they found it? And it's always interesting if you see someone making a goal. If you didn't find, for example, if they make the goal get CL and you never found CL, for me it's always funny to think, how did they get there? What did I not test? What did they do?
So now that he's marked 2 fairy spells, he's going to have to basically rush Shadow at this point, because he needs to get that before Benoro does, because now that Benoro has ZL, he can also do Shadow. They don't know this, but I think Shadow is going to have to be their next goal.
Yeah, Benoru, upon seeing that 2 fairy spells, is going to just run straight to Shadow Temple.
Maybe the cutscene of CL will take into GTG. That's new loading.
Definitely possible.
That's true.
But
if he does find GTG in that manner, he would definitely do that instead.
But absolutely.
Maybe
3 cases so free right now. Anyone who finds it gets a free goal.
But yeah, maybe they have my gaming. Then they need Song of Time for GTG. I think it gives no worse loading zone than that Song of Time in this game.
So what Austria's done right now is called a weird shot. Basically, if you do a set of precise movements after being hit by a bomb with hook shot, you can basically sink into the floor, and then you can hook shot through walls, and basically, because you get a better vantage point to hook shot other things. So it looks like he's trying to grab the skull from here by weird shotting into the ground, and then just grabbing it without having to blow up the wall. And you can see it just technically, he just did it then. So he managed to grab that skull without blowing up the wall, or heading down there to get it, so he can stay up here and then get the skulls up top.
Yeah, because getting back up here can be a little bit of a pain. Ground jumpable to get back up there?
I don't believe so. Haven't tried it, but I don't think so.
Yeah, it looks a bit too high.
Link 110T. Zopals can also go for the shadow keys, and yeah, then it's the same amount.
The thing is, if Austria gets 5 temple skulls, which I expect he does, that puts them at 12. Then Zupals need everything to win. So really, they will need to find what you call it. Although considering Benar is now in shadow, I don't think it'll matter. I think Benar is going to manage to get these keys unless he dies.
Yeah.
Don't jinx it.
Looks like Lamb's probably going towards Fire Temple, but there's very little chance he could beat Austria to it at this point.
there isn't even a chance. Let's be honest.
Well, Austria could die and then have a really hard time getting back there for whatever reason, and
You know, speed
What?
gaming has something that called commentator's curse. So don't jinx it.
yeah.
If you ever watched A Link to the Past random tournament here, the commentators did jinx everything.
Oh, yeah. So much commentator cursing. Or sometimes the commentators mentioning just how many things someone would have to screw up for the other person to be able to catch up.
Yeah. At the moment,
Well,
the French team is in a hard lead.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely going to be a thing that going to be hard to overcome if
Yeah, you do it
Austria
always.
and Banu manage to get the 2 goals they have.
Yep.
And yeah, Blanca is entering fire now.
Austria trying to do this very precise hook shot.
It is difficult. It's pixel perfect, and it can be bad if you're not lined up correctly because you don't really know. You'll have to make sure that you're lined up correctly.
And if you're not lined up correctly, then that 1 pixel becomes 0 pixels, and you're not going to get it no matter what.
I think the strategy here was assume they haven't found ZL if they don't mark the 2 fairy spells yet. So I think they're going to assume that they can't do Shadow Temple keys. That way they're going to rush fire and do Shadow later. Unfortunately, Bonora managed to find ZL pretty much at the right time to completely counter that strategy.
Yeah.
I can understand the decision of Sopals, but I would go, if you have so less time left, I would go with the easier goal, and I think really that the shadow goal is easier than the fired goal. And much quicker.
Shadow's still pretty long. The main issue is you generally have to do either the entire temple or go through it, like you'd save warp out and then go through the temple again. So you'd have to get back to Shadow Temple from where you were.
I can definitely understand them leaving what they think is the safer goal for later while trying to do something that they think their opponents could be capable of for now.
But yeah, you need to think, even if they search for ZL, there's always only one that search for ZL. I never saw both going for searching. For example,
the interesting thing.
Yes, go on.
Continue.
For example, you saw it at Sopals. Blanca did the goals, and Sloth was only searching. He was about, I think, 40 minutes only searching for new loading zones and stuff, and Blanca did do 2 goals in the meantime. You never go with 2 people to search.
I was going to mention that they know for a fact
unless
that
you have literally nothing you can do.
Yes. So, Spliff, go on.
Yeah,
they know Austria has the long shot. They know it's possible for them to do Fire Temple because they know that the long shot is required unless they do a hover. So they're going to be like, well, we have to do Fire Temple now because that is a goal that we can't let them have.
I think you need to go get a drink of water.
I'll get more water.
You're definitely sounding a little hoarse.
It has been 2.5 hours.
I mean, I think you have the darkest voice speed gaming ever saw, so...
I don't know if that's an accolade I want, but sure, I'll take it.
But yeah, in our vision, I think it's not possible that Blanca can in any way close the goal for his team, because I think Ostri is too experienced to give it away yet.
Well, he's struggling with the long shot. So if he continues struggling this way, Lamb might have a chance.
How many Scriptulas did he pick up yet? 3?
2, I think.
Only.
There's
Shit,
the two
Fire
at the
Temple
top
is too long.
from the long shot. There's 2 up there,
Yeah,
and then there's one in the room right near the start, on the way to the bosque.
Austria's been at this for quite a while Sloth and Lamb have been picking up other goals.
It's funny that Sloth almost died by doing a skip with a bomb, even if he has like 10 million life.
Okay. So it looks like Sloth is trying to do whatever that crazy thing you explained to get
The
the
adult trade quest to
spooky
get
mask.
the. Oh, well, yeah. Well, he should already have done that, so it might be that he's abandoning that because he may not have found all of the carpenters. So he might just try and get ZL by doing the adult trade quest like Lamb did, and then get the mask normally by going back in time.
Yeah. Because 3 of the carpenters have 2 loading zones to them, but one of them, the green one, only has 1, and that can be difficult to find.
So we might get to see Lamb do the actual Fire Temple, the major Fire Temple skip, which is to clip through the block.
How much time does it save?
It's quite a significant amount in general, like for most speedruns and stuff. I don't know if it'll necessarily save time here, but it will give him extra key leeway because you can skip some keys rather than having to get them.
Oh, I did try to skip. I failed.
The skip he's doing is relatively old. There are faster and newer ways to do it, but looks like you failed this one as well. It's not the skip I use. I use a different skip, the main skip that most 100% runners, I believe, use. So Benora is back into Shadow after getting the 2 keys, or the key at the end of the dungeon. So he just needs to go through the rest of the main dungeon to get the last ones.
He got it. That was not the same I used. I used one where you crouch, step the wall 2 times, side punch, and then aim for the corner.
I believe the one that I use, the 100% runners use, is when you jump across and grab the ledge, it can give you a very specific angle, and then you can just stand in the corner with a bomb on your head and it will push you through.
Okay. That sounds easy. I guess it's not.
It's really easy when you know it. It requires a flick of the controller though, so you have to make sure you get the up flick correct.
Yeah. I love it when people say clips are easy, and then I spend half an hour trying to clip into the shooting gallery at night, and nope.
Yeah, with keyboard it's very difficult.
Or spending 1 hour to get juice and trials.
Yeah,
So,
but I did
I'll
it. I learned it. And then the next time I tried to do it, it only took me like 10 minutes. So I'm
Nice.
improving.
So Austria managed to get it, and then jumping down will get him back towards the start of the dungeon, so he can just jump down and grab the last one from the room here. If he doesn't die, that is. He's got a quarter of a heart.
Yep. Yeah, good job surviving that fall damage. And I always got to be careful of all the fire bats and various other.
How do you go up there here in this boulder room where BlancaLamb is in?
How did he get up here?
Yes.
There's a door on the bottom, and then the room with those grates, those suspended grates where the flame follows you. you have to follow that around, and then you'll get to a door that's up here.
Okay.
That's the intended way, but if you skip through the block, you skip all of that, and you can avoid having to use keys on that, which means you can have saved keys for later and don't have to get more.
PB Jelly, what did we curse?
Yeah.
I never
So-
cursed anything.
That skip really does save quite a bit of trouble.
This will be game in the next minute when Benara gets his last key. At this point, Zupals is basically just waiting for them to end because they can't match this at this point because they know that they're going to have to find Gerudo Train again. And there it is.
Oh. GG.
Final score, 13 to 11.
It's 13
Oh,
to
13
10.
to 10.
Oh, that was pretty close up at the end.
Zupals made a pretty solid comeback for the most part. It was looking to be a bit more grim than it was, and I think they did a very good job bringing it back to the score that they got now.
Yeah.
Yeah, lockout 20 minutes before 3-hour mark.
Yeah.
Solid effort. I think both teams did an admirable job, and they displayed some pretty good skill and strategies to try and figure out the best way to do it. So,
Yeah, we saw some really nice hovers, flips, a lot of really solid speed running.
it's important to note that Lamb and Sloth aren't necessarily out of the tournament yet. They now go into the losers bracket, and they will play the winner of the next couple of matches. If they manage to win their next match, they'll get into the grand finals and play Weeaboo again, and then they'll have to win twice in a row in order to take the tournament.
Yeah, there's a reason why both teams were in the winner finals. But yeah, I did post the runner links into the chat. Follow the runners if you want to see some Beta Quest or ORT in normal, because I know all of them playing not only Beta Quest. And yeah, thanks for having me and us, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe some of them wanna join here, but I don't know. They're speaking with each other.
Yeah, are we going to have a post-run interview?
Don't know. It'll depend on them, I guess.
They can join if they want.
Yep.
Kapov, Super Metroid was on Speed Gaming 1. You're on the wrong stream. Oh, it will be here up next. Okay, sorry, Fiesel. It was on Speed Gaming 1 before.
That would explain the tight timing thing.
Yeah, I think Menu did time 3 hours 30 minutes because you need the 30 minutes.
Yeah, that extra 30 minutes is the sudden death round, in case no one has finished the Lockout and both teams have the same number of goals. There's a 30-minute sudden death where whichever team manages to get a goal in that time wins.
The other thing is, if they're tied and they're still tied after 30 minutes, no team's managed to get a goal in that 30 minutes, the team that last got a goal loses because the other team had more goals earlier. So as a second time win condition, you can just run out the time if you got the goal before the other team.
No, Cabo, Weibo managed to win in the 3-hour mark. There were 17 minutes left in the 3-hour mark. I can ask them. Give me a second.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey,
GG all.
welcome, guys. Good job.
Thanks.
Damn. I think that was
That
a
was
pretty
a-
good race to watch.
It was really fun to commentate. There was
Yeah.
some crazy stuff going on, just watching both teams and seeing things get sniped and so on.
There were quite a few very close moments.
Yeah, it's not really a snipe, I guess, beside Bomb Back 30 for us.
Well, yeah, and they got the what was it? Morpha.
Morpha.
Yeah, Morpha
Yeah,
and
for us-
Forest for
for us,
Meg.
it was Bomb Back 30 only, like, from our side, and the other stuff were
Dark
like
Knight was pretty close.
minutes.
Yeah. The ZL was very interesting near the end there.
Yeah. I did both skip to find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we noticed that was actually really solid. We were watching that and it's just like, oh no, now we have to explain boat skip. Here we go.
Damn. Yeah, rip.
Yeah, but it was very interesting that one team actually managed to find ZL and the other one said, "Let's just RBA it."
Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth noting, Sloth, you did Sunsong in every boss room, except the one where ZL was behind.
I did only Baronade. That's
I
the
did
only one I
Morpho, though.
did. Yeah, I did one Sunsong boss.
Only one?
Oh,
Then
and
it was
Vallejo.
someone else.
And Vallejo.
Yeah,
that's
it
some
was a
similar
Bongo Bongo.
boss, yeah.
So Sloth, we saw you were doing Carpenters. Were you planning to do Ask Chest to get Spooky Mask?
Yeah, that was the plan. If it comes down to that, I should prepare a Garuda card.
Yeah, we saw you
Yes,
doing
yes.
it, and then we just didn't know if you were going to end up finishing it or not, because we figured you didn't want to get ZL and go back in time to get the mask.
Yeah. Also, we didn't found the lonely Carpenter. With the
Yeah, we figured that was the case.
I'd just like to mention that fantastic bomb hover over to the fire arrows.
Oh yeah, that was
Aw.
insane. That was
Yeah,
absolutely
fuck
crazy.
that.
We were
We were
watching it,
so
we're like,
close to
oh
that.
god, what is this?
Wait, Bomb Power? What?
Yeah, he didn't beat
Yeah.
Morpha, so
No, Bomb Papa or Bomb Chew Hover?
Bomb.
Both.
Oh my
He ran
God.
out.
He ran out of choose halfway through.
What? That's crazy.
Like, we were just watching this. We're just like, this is incredible.
How was Blanca's attempt to blow up the wall on commentary? Like,
Oh
Oh,
yeah, we're like, well, he's trying to get the bomb cheese in. He's just clearly hasn't got the timing down for this. We're like, maybe
I
this one.
didn't
No.
know.
We didn't even know if it was possible or not.
yeah, it is, but we don't know the timing. That was a problem.
Yes,
Um,
Steph was saying it's not possible, and I said I saw it once.
The only reason I said that is because I remember Amma doing it, but he did some weird shot clip to place the bomb cheese down there somehow. I don't even know. Just Amma stuff
See,
in
you
general.
can
Amma
weird
shenanigans.
shot.
That's
Damn.
not what you meant, and you know it. He's
All
like, yeah, just weird shot the chest. I'm like, I don't think it'll reach.
I'm surprised you went for that key. I would have thought that the key that Austria went for was a bit quicker. There's the one in the dragon's mouth switch.
It is,
right.
but I don't know the setup with the chew. And since they had iron boots, I figured, well, I might as well.
Because I mean, if you had iron boots, you could just sink to the bottom and hook shot it like usual.
Wow, you're right. I'm dumb.
That's true.
But yeah, good luck to Vaibu in grand finals, and maybe you will face Sopulse again.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing how the rest of the tournament turns
Yeah.
out.
Thanks to all the runners for this. A great time, and please follow them. But
Oh,
Rana.
I'm gonna watch the commentary bot 100%.
Oh no, do it
oh
not.
dear.
Dude. If you having a blast, I will have a blast as well. So
All right.
Yeah,
well, that was
follow us if you want to see some better quest on and normal OOT.
Shout out to Manu who was in the chat just then.
Shout out to Manu.
Absolutely, if you're looking to learn Beta Quest, join the Discord. There'll be a link in the tournament challenge. So if you want to have a look, the link's in chat, and you can join the Beta Quest Discord, and there's a ton of runners who are there who are helpful and can help you learn new stuff.
Oh,
And yeah.
absolutely. You can ask any question, and the people in here have helped me so much with all of my silly questions about how Beta Quest works, because it can be very confusing to start, but it's so much fun.
And she even learned today again. But
I
yeah,
think I learned like 2 things today, just during this race.
and because Fiesel put it up, you can also follow the Splef, Flexi, or me, Chase, the commentary. For Splef, it's something you can learn, and you can watch newbies like Flexi and me play the game.
Alrighty, so I think Fiesel wants us to sign off now. So
Yeah, we got to make sure the schedule runs on time, so we'll call it here, I think.
Yeah, we
So-
finished
GG to all the
before 3
runners.
hours.
It was a great race.
So
Yeah, it was fun and
Yeah,
stressful,
everything.
like always.
thanks for the great race. Thanks Fiesel for having us, and good luck on the next stream.
Yeah, see you, boys.
All right, bye
See you,
guys.
everyone.
Girls.
bye.